Sarah and Alex moved into the creaky Victorian house with high hopes for a fresh start. However, from the first night, Sarah was unsettled by faint whispers emanating from the attic. Alex, pragmatic and dismissive, attributed the sounds to the old house settling. Yet, the whispers persisted, growing more distinct and unnerving each evening. One night, Sarah, driven by a mix of curiosity and fear, crept up the narrow stairs. The attic door was locked, adding to the mystery. Determined, she began searching the house for the key. Meanwhile, the whispers seemed to form eerie, indistinct words, invading her dreams and waking hours alike. As days turned into weeks, the noises from the attic became impossible to ignore. Sarah found an old, rusted key hidden in a forgotten drawer in the study. Gathering her courage, she unlocked the attic door and stepped inside. The space was cluttered with dusty antiques, but amidst the chaos, she found signs of recent habitation. A makeshift bed, crumpled food wrappers, and oddly, children's toys. Her heart raced as she realized someone had been living there. Who were they, and where had they gone? Sarah's discovery left her both terrified and curious, unable to shake the feeling that something more sinister was at play. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep, haunted by what she had found. Alex, still skeptical, decided to spend a night in the attic to prove there was nothing to fear. Armed with a flashlight and a heavy blanket, he settled in, determined to debunk Sarah's fears. Hours passed in silence until he heard faint scratches, followed by a low, menacing growl. His flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Something darted past his vision, too fast and too large to be a rat. Panic surged as the growling grew closer, sending Alex racing downstairs, pale and shaken. For the first time, he believed Sarah. They were not alone. With Alex now convinced, they called the police. The officers conducted a thorough search but found no intruder. The presence of a recent inhabitant was undeniable, yet the attic seemed empty. That night, unable to sleep, Sarah ventured a glance into the attic once more. To her horror, she saw two glowing eyes staring back at her from the darkness, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. Terrified, she retreated, now certain they were dealing with something far beyond a mere squatter. The couple felt trapped, their once hopeful home turning into a prison of fear and uncertainty. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah delved into the house's history. She discovered that the previous owner, an eccentric inventor named Dr. Wallace, had a son who mysteriously disappeared years ago. Rumors suggested the child never left the house, hiding away in secret passages and the attic. Sarah and Alice began searching for hidden compartments, uncovering journals and blueprints. The journals detailed bizarre experiments and hinted at a dark secret. Dr. Wallace had been attempting to alter his son, conducting inhumane experiments that had changed him into something no longer entirely human. Armed with this grim knowledge, Sarah and Alex prepared to confront the being in their attic. They set traps and installed cameras, hoping to capture footage of their elusive tenant. One stormy night, they heard the familiar whispers and scratches, followed by a loud crash. Rushing to the attic, they found it in disarray, but saw no sign of the creature. Reviewing the camera footage, they saw a gaunt figure with glowing eyes, moving with unnatural speed. Determined to free their home from its grip, they set one final elaborate trap. This time, they were ready. When the creature fell into their trap, they faced it, revealing the tragic truth of Dr. Wallace's experiments. Confronting the terrified, altered child, they realized their task was not to banish a monster, but to free a tormented soul. On the outskirts of their small town, the children often played near a dense, almost impenetrable forest. It was a place of mystery and local legend, filled with stories of vanished travelers and ghostly apparitions. One summer afternoon, they ventured deeper than ever before, drawn by the sound of faint whispers that seemed to dance on the breeze. The forest grew darker and the air colder as they pushed through the thick underbrush. Suddenly, they stumbled into a secluded clearing where an ancient well stood, its stone rim crumbling and covered in moss. The children felt a chill as they approached, sensing a malevolent presence lurking in the shadows. "Emma," the most adventurous of the group, peered into the well's depths, her curiosity outweighing her fear. The well's stones were engraved with strange symbols that sent a shiver down Emma's spine. She remembered tales her grandmother used to tell, stories of a cursed well that swallowed those who dared to disturb it. The well was said to be a gateway to another realm, sealed off centuries ago to protect the world from the horrors within. As the children debated whether to explore further, strange occurrences began. The rustling of leaves with no wind, shadows moving at the edge of their vision, and whispers that grew louder and more insistent. Despite their growing unease, a unanimous decision was made. They had to uncover the well's secrets. The old staircase leading down into the well awaited them, shrouded in darkness. The staircase was narrow and treacherous, each step echoing ominously in the confined space. Armed with flashlights and their determination, the children began their descent. The air grew colder and damper, and the light from above quickly faded, plunging them into near darkness. The stone walls were slick with moisture, and the oppressive silence was broken only by their nervous breaths and the occasional drip of water. As they descended further, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Just as they considered turning back, strange markings began to glow faintly on the walls, guiding their way deeper into the abyss. Emma led the way, her resolve unwavering despite the creeping dread. The deeper they went, the louder the whispers became, now clearly voices speaking in ancient, forgotten language. The narrow staircase opened into a vast underground chamber, its ceiling disappearing into darkness. At the center stood a massive stone altar, covered in the same strange symbols as the well above. The air was thick with an unnatural chill, and shadows seemed to move just beyond the reach of their flashlights. One of the children, Jake, swore he saw a figure lurking in the darkness, but it vanished before anyone else could see. The echoes of their footsteps created an eerie symphony that heightened their fear. They knew there was no turning back. Something in this chamber needed to be discovered. As they approached the altar, a low growling sound echoed through the chamber, sending shivers down their spines. From the darkness emerged a tall, menacing figure, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. It was the guardian of the well, an ancient entity tasked with protecting the secrets buried below. The children froze in terror as the guardian spoke in a voice that seemed to shake the very ground. It warned them of the curse that would befall anyone who dared to disturb the well's secrets. Despite the guardian's ominous warning, the children's resolve did not waver. They sensed that the only way to end the terror of the well was to uncover its darkest secret. With the guardian watching their every move, the children steeled themselves and examined the altar closely. They discovered a hidden mechanism that, when activated, revealed a secret chamber beneath. Inside, they found ancient scrolls and relics that told the tale of a powerful sorcerer who had once tried to control the dark forces of the well. The sorcerer had failed and, in a desperate attempt to contain the evil, had sealed it away with his own life. The children realized that they were the ones chosen to finish what the sorcerer had started. As they read the final incantation from the scroll, a blinding light filled the chamber, and the evil presence began to dissipate. The guardian, no longer hostile, nodded in approval as the children ascended back to the surface, leaving the darkness behind. Ravenwood City had always been shrouded in mystery, but nothing compared to the recent phenomenon. Weeks of impenetrable darkness settled over the town, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Street lights flickered and died, leaving once bustling streets in an endless night. Residents huddled indoors, fearful of the strange figures glimpsed in the periphery of their vision. The town's power grid struggled, plunging homes into sporadic blackouts. Whispers of ancient curses and long-forgotten legends resurfaced among the terrified citizens. Local authorities were helpless, unable to explain or dispel the encroaching gloom. With no sunlight and only dim flashlight beams to guide them, Ravenwood's residents began hearing strange, disembodied voices. Initially dismissed as tricks of the mind, the whispers grew impossible to ignore. The voices echoed through empty streets and into fearful hearts, becoming a relentless presence. Reports of missing persons skyrocketed, friends and family vanishing without a trace. Rumors spread about a malevolent presence lurking in the darkness, feeding off the town's fear. Desperation grew as citizens realized the whispers were not just noises but something far more sinister. Panic fractured the once close-knit community. As darkness persisted, strange symbols and markings appeared on buildings and in alleyways. Scholars and historians were baffled, unable to decipher the cryptic messages. Some residents recognized the symbols from old, forgotten books, tales of ancient beings and deities. The markings seemed to pulse with life, glowing faintly in the dark. Those brave enough to touch them were overcome with visions of a bygone era when Ravenwood was a site of dark rituals. These echoes of the past hinted at a terrible secret buried beneath the city. The more the town delved into its history, the more they realized the darkness was not random but a return of something old and vengeful. The whispers grew louder and more insistent, driving some to madness. Then, without warning, the voices stopped, leaving an oppressive silence more terrifying than any noise. The sudden quiet was like a held breath, a pause before something catastrophic. People huddled in their homes, too afraid to venture outside. The silence was broken only by the occasional scream or the sound of something heavy being dragged through the streets. The absence of sound heralded a deeper, more imminent threat. Townspeople realized they were not alone in the darkness. Something was hunting them, drawing closer with each silent moment. Night after night, phantoms grew bolder, appearing in the periphery of vision and darting away when looked at directly. They seemed to test the limits of their influence, growing stronger as fear deepened. Doors and windows, once barriers, were breached effortlessly by spectral intruders. Encounters with phantoms left icy hands, piercing eyes, and overwhelming dread. Some were marked with strange burns or cuts, as if the phantoms were not just ethereal but had physical presence. The line between living and dead blurred as townspeople faced a force beyond understanding. Phantoms thrived on fear and darkness, becoming more corporeal and dangerous each night. Ravenwood became a shadow of its former self, a town on the brink of annihilation. In a desperate bid to end the nightmare, a group of survivors banded together, seeking the darkness' source. Armed with fragments of ancient texts and sheer determination, they ventured into the city's heart. Deep beneath the old church, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with relics of dark rituals. The source of the curse was an ancient, malevolent entity imprisoned but slowly breaking free. Facing the entity, darkness pulsed with anger, phantoms converging to protect their master. The final battle was fierce, survivors using everything to seal the entity. In a blinding flash, darkness was dispelled, leaving the town forever changed but free from the malevolent force.